Welcome everyone. I'm Walt Schoenborn, Vice President at scienceboard.net. We're here at ISCT 2022 here in San Francisco, and I'm very pleased to be here with Patricia Zettler, Chair, ISCT Expanded Access Working Group, also Associate Professor of Law at The Ohio State University. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. I just wanted to go into it. We're here at ISCT in San Francisco, and ISCT has established a working group to tackle regulatory and ethical issues around cell and gene therapy expanded access. What is the primary goal of the working group?
Well, I think in short, the primary goal of ISCT's working group on expanded access is to develop resources that will help cell and gene therapy communities and stakeholders provide access in ways that serve patient interests and preserve the ability to conduct clinical trials and get the safety and effectiveness information that is needed about those therapies. And right now is a great time to be thinking about these issues. The working group has a wide range of expertise. We've got folks like myself who are trained as lawyers. We've got bioethicists. We've got scientists. So ISCT is bringing together a great group of interdisciplinary experts to think through some of these issues at a time when patient interest in access outside of clinical trials is surging, at a time when the field is maturing, and at a time when there's a lot of regulatory change that may be possible.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of meeting several of the people on the team. It's a fantastic team that you guys have assembled. How can the working group ensure that the CGT field advances in an ethical manner and that the expanded access route is being used for its intended purpose?
That's a great question. I would say ISCT's working group on expanded access can't, channeling a manager I had when I was a lawyer, can't ensure anything, but we can help ensure that folks are at least informed about the best ways to conduct expanded access. We can help think through some of the complicated ethical and regulatory issues that may arise and provide cell and gene therapy stakeholders and communities with resources to develop expanded access programs.
Yeah, and kind of touching on what you had spoken about before, I mean, going into practical, ethical, and regulatory issues that arise from the use and potential misuse of the established access pathway. Could you speak just a little bit more to that?
Sure. So in terms of misuse of the expanded access pathway, I want to start with good uses of the expanded access pathway. And, I think we all recognize that patients with serious and life-threatening conditions, there may be instances where they need access to products or interventions before they're proven safe and effective. They may not be able to enroll in clinical trials for a variety of reasons, and expanded access provides a way to have that kind of access in a regulated, limited fashion. Now, there also are concerns about misuses of the expanded access pathway, and just today at ISCT 2020, we had a roundtable of folks talking about various pathways to access investigational products, and some of the concerns that were raised were commercialization or using expanded access as a cover to commercialize things that aren't yet proven, and maybe using expanded access as a way to try to get to first in humans without preclinical trials, or this isn't a misuse, but questions about, well, what kinds of evidence might we be able to get from expanded access, and are there ways we can get useful real-world evidence from expanded access, even though that's not the primary purpose of the pathway?
Yeah, and you sort of look at it from a patient-centric perspective, and so kind of going along that, providing expanded access in ways that serve the interests of patients without undermining rigorous research. I mean, it's got to be a very, very fine line that you have to walk there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really difficult question of, when is access appropriate, and how do we ensure that access doesn't undermine the ability to conduct clinical trials, particularly if we're talking about rare diseases where there might not be a large pool of patients. And I think there's no, magic formula, but it's, these kinds of difficult questions and thinking through difficult scenarios that I hope ISCT's working group on expanded access will be able to help with.
And then we had a question that came in, and I wanted to pose this to you specifically. Do you see expanded access for investigational treatments outside of clinical trials increasing?
My sense is that expanded access to investigational products outside of clinical trials is increasing. And FDA actually publishes information on its website, both for CDER, the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, and CBER, Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, about the numbers of requests the agency receives and the numbers that it authorizes. And if you look across the years, you see a steady increase of the number of requests the agency is receiving. And so, that could be a sign that patients and clinicians are more aware of this option. It could be a sign that companies and developers are more willing to provide expanded access because no one can require them to do it. They have to want to do it.
Right.
But I think there definitely is surging interest.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know that you have been just flying all around the place. And day one here of ISCT here in San Francisco, Patty Zettler, Chair ISCT Expanded Access Working Group. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll speak to you soon.